Hey guys, SirVern back here. Hey guys, SirVern back here.
Hey guys, SirVern back here, and today I'm reviewing TREPANG 2 for the PS5. This is a first-person shooter. It kind of reminds you of an older type like PS3 kind of shooter. Super violent, gory, has slowed like bullet time, slow down. But anyway, I'm going to go over the same 5 categories I always do: graphics, performance, gameplay slash story, replayability, and then fun factor. Give each category a score from 1 to 10, average them up, and then talk about the game. So, graphics are surprisingly good. I think this is a smaller budget title, and I wasn't sure anything about it. Like you see, it's called Trepang Squared or Second, and what that is, it's like Trepang. They had an original game, and I think it was like a bullet hell type shooter, and Trepang Squared or 2 was just like a placeholder name I read, and they decided to keep it. Now, I may not be completely accurate on that, but that's the information I read a while back. Because I saw this, I'm all about physical video games. So this is physical. It's going to be one of those games that's rare because it's good and it's physical. You don't see that too often. And it's not super long, which, I'm kind of into those type of games right now, being a dad and I work full time. So anyway, back to graphics. 8.5, you can see they're really good. Uh, Character models look pretty good. Weapons look good. Nothing like is just incredible. You're not going to be blown away, but everything looks good. Here you can see some cheats that you unlock, and it has a bunch. It adds to the replayability. But you can see the graphics are pretty good. Um, so I'm going to give graphics an 8.5. Performance, I'm going to give a 9. The only issue I saw with the game was, and this may not even be something to complain about really, but when it saves, it'll slow down for a second. I hate when it does that. It's not all the time, but if it's like a really heavy action sequence and you're panning the camera really fast and it goes to an autosave, then you're going to run into that. But trust me, you're going to want the autosaves in this game because it is difficult. Um, in replayability, I'll mention more about what you're seeing here. There's like a place you can go to do like horde mode kind of, but next is gameplay slash story. So we'll start with the story. Story is there's more to it than you would think. This is a 5 to 10 hour game depending on how you play it. It took me 8 or 9 hours, maybe 8.5 hours to beat this because I did every single mission. There's a bunch of side missions you don't have to do. I would say it probably doubles the length of the game if you do all the side missions, which I would recommend because they're challenging. But the story, back to the story, it's interesting. There's a lot of intel you can read. You have a narrator reading to you, or telling you kind of like what's going on. Not a super deep story, but it's enough there to make a first-person shooter interesting. And if you want to dive deeper and read all the intel, I read a good bit of it. I kind of stopped towards the end. Because most people are going to look at this like just an action game, no brain, just shoot, fire and don't care, ask questions later. And that's kind of the way I played it for the majority of the game. But I did enjoy it, so the story was good. Now we'll talk about gameplay. So the gameplay is excellent. It is very challenging in parts. You can slow down the camera. You have like a meter, and I think the more enemies you take down, the higher that meter fills. You can also turn invisible, like camo, until you shoot or engage an enemy or hit an enemy, run into them. But yeah, so it's almost like just a bullet hell shooter. You're dodging, you're trying to get headshots, taking them down, a lot of enemies, and the enemies get harder depending on either if you're playing horde mode, the further you get, or further on in the levels, they seem to get harder. You'll notice like the enemies start pretty easy and then they'll get more armored. First you have to take the helmet off for a headshot, and then they'll come out with riot shields, which I wrote in my notes they were kind of annoying. Riot shields, it can be kind of frustrating because really the main way to take them down is to slide. You can also slide like in Call of Duty. A lot of level destruction, I like that. And you can see me slowing down time right here. You see the meter on the left going down. The meter on the right is invisibility, like cloaking. So anyway, yeah, so the enemies get harder. And the riot shields, you have to slide at them to knock them down or shoot their feet. But overall, I like the enemy designs. I like the tiered system, how they do get harder. There's some enemies, and I won't spoil anything, that are very tough to take down. And you have to shoot them in certain spots on their body. And it adds, there's enough variety there to keep the 8-hour game or 9-hour game very interesting and challenging. So gameplay / story overall, I give an 8. You know, it's a smaller budget game that controls. I may have given it a 9, but this game probably was made around a PC because there's not much. There is a tiny bit of aim assist, but it's, you know, it can be challenging to get headshots or even shoot the enemies if you're not in slowdown, if you're not in bullet time. So there are some difficulty peaks in this game, but I appreciate it. You know, like it took me. I gave up last night. Finally went to bed, and I played for a solid hour on the last level. The last boss was insane. It was just very difficult, and as challenging as this game is, when you beat the game, let's go to replayability since I'm talking about that. So gameplay / story in 8. So when you beat the game, no spoilers, you unlock cheats. You unlock a few along the way, but I'm not even sure. I showed a list of them, but like unlimited ammo, stuff like that. But one of the trophies, and I'm glad they did this, is you have to beat the game before you unlock, I think, a lot of these cheats. But one of the trophies is to like beat the game. They have hard, like very hard, brutal, and then just they have like 4 tiers of difficulty. And even normal, what I beat my game on, was difficult. I cannot imagine what like brutal or what the hardest difficulty would be like. So this would be kind of a fun platinum to go for. So I'll leave this installed. And I probably will go for this platinum because I like games where sometimes where you can just watch a YouTube video in the background and not really worry about what's going on the screen. And it doesn't specify if cheats will impact trophies. So if I could get enough cheats to make it possible, I'd be interested in doing it. Because without cheats, I am not good enough to do this. So replayability also is impacted by, like I said, a horde mode. It has probably 10 levels where you can go in, and I only did one, and it's fun enough. You know, it had 20 levels, and I got to like level 17, and there's no saving, and I died like 15 times. And at that time, there was a new game I was wanting to try, so I don't think there's any trophies associated with it, or there may be, but I'm not sure. But that adds to this. When you look at this on its face, this is a 5 to 6 hour, if you just play the main missions, first-person shooter. You know, some people were going to say, I think I read somebody say online that this should have been like a demo or something, but it's not a full-price game. This is like $30. It's almost like a tech demo. I can see where I can understand why they said that. But see, this is what I was talking about in my last ramble video I made. I wish they would just come out with new franchises like this. This could be polished up and made into a legit awesome game. I mean, it's good the way it is. I really like this game. But replayability has a lot of factors going for it. For a first-person shooter that's only 5 to 6 hours long. It's got the horde mode. It's got all those difficulties, and it unlocks cheats along the way, and there's collectibles to find, which I'm not a big fan of, but it has a lot of collectibles if you're into that. A lot of high value targets to go after. It's enough there to give it a solid 6 out of 10. This is not going to be something you play for years and years and years, but it is something this may take you 25-30 hours to platinum, I would guess, because of the difficulty. So I think 6 fair. 6 is fair for replayability. Fun factor, I had a solid time with this game. It is very challenging, and you might get frustrated from time to time and have to like step away for a second because it is not an easy 6-hour experience. And like I said, I played maybe 8.5 or 9 hours because I did every single side mission, and there's a trophy associated with every side mission. So I like the trophies in this game, other than the collectible trophy. But it has a platinum. I love that. So fun factor, I'm going to give an 8. It's a good, solid $30 game. I think it's worth every bit of that. I think that's how much it cost. I got it physically for around the same price. If you ever saw this on sale and you're into digital games and this was like, I don't know, $20 or less, no brainer, definitely pick it up. Because you can just leave it on there and this could be something you can go back to. A few things I'll mention. We'll just recap. Graphics 8.5, performance a 9, gameplay/story an 8, replayability a 6, fun factor an 8. It averages out to a 7.9 out of 10. Excellent, or good, really good game. I like the gunplay, the carnage. There's like these chests where you can buy equipment, and one time you could buy a squad to like help you, like team members you see with like the blue lights on their head. Really neat idea. I like that. I like a lot about this game. It has some supernatural kind of stuff that might surprise some people. It's not as straightforward military shooter like you might think. Story's good, interesting, and yeah, overall, and you can see that's one of the collectibles you'll pick up. There's a lot of them. So if I got every other trophy, that's probably the last annoying trophy I had to go back and get, and I would just do that with a guide probably. But I enjoyed this game. I'm glad I played it. This year I'm not beating a lot of games so far. I haven't found any worth beating. This one's the first one out of the last like 4 or 5 that I was interested in finishing. But that's all I got for Trepang Squared. Check it out if you see it on sale. That's all I got. SirVern out.